Hello algebra students. This lesson is simplifying ratios and solving proportions. Before we can start, let's ask ourselves, what is a ratio? A ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division. Now a lot of times you'll see them written one of three ways. Okay, you can see it as a fraction, meaning A to B. You can see it using the colons, A to B, or you can actually see the word A to B written out. This is when we tend to compare a lot of different things, such as boys to girls in the classroom. The ratio of boys to girls is 10 to 12. Okay, we can use these ratios when explaining different scenarios. Okay, what is a proportion? A proportion is an equation stating that two ratios are equal. This concept is used a lot in mathematics. Especially when you get to geometry. Now, one thing we have to know when we set up ratios, the order that we're giving it in is the order we got to keep it in. And when we simplify a ratio, all we're basically doing is you're reducing a fraction. That's all we're basically doing when we simplify. So if the ratio of girls to boys in your class is 18 to 12, we would write that as a fraction, and then we would go ahead and simplify it. 18 and 12 can both be divided by 6, so we get 18 divided by 6 is 3, 12 divided by 6 is 2. So the ratio of girls to boys in the classroom is 3 to 2. Now, to determine if ratios are equal, there's two ways to do it. One, you can reduce both fractions to see if the fractions are equal. So, when I look at it, 2/3 is reduced, but 18 can be divided by 6, 24 can be divided by 6. So what we end up with is 2/3 equals 18 divided by 6 is 3, 24 divided by 6 is 4. Are these ratios equal? No. Another way to determine this is if two ratios are proportional, you will notice that their cross products are equal. So when we cross multiply and do 18 times 3, we get 51. Does that equal the other cross product, 2 times 24? Okay, 2 times 24 is 48. By the way, 51 is not, or 18 times 3 is 54, not 51. Sorry about that. So if the cross products are not equal, and the ratios are not equivalent. Okay? Now, because that, if we come up with two ratios that are equal, say 3 to 2 equals 15 to 10, right? Are these equal? Well, if you reduce 15 over 10, you would get 3 over 2. Or, notice here, because these are equivalent, the cross products end up being equal. Okay? And we use this to help us solve proportions. Okay? So, the first couple of problems here are solving these proportions. To solve a proportion, all I do is I cross multiply one way. I get 20 times x is 20x equals cross multiply the other way, 4 times 10 is 40. Now I can divide by 20, and when I solve this, 40 divided by 20 is 2. And if you think about it, is 2 over 4 equivalent to 10 over 20? Yes. Now, number 4, if I cross multiply here, 10 times x is 10x equals 3 times 5 is 15. So, when I divide by 10, what do I get? X equals, you can get 15 over 10, which is equivalent to 3 over 2, but you could also put 1 over 1.5. Okay, and if you think about it, 1.5 over 3, that would reduce to 1/2, and 5 over 10 is equivalent to 1/2. So 1.5 is the value of x that makes that those two ratios proportional. Now, here, when we're solving this proportion, when you cross multiply this way, it's very important to know that you need to distribute the 7. So anytime you multiply a monomial by a binomial, you must distribute. So we would do 7 times x minus 2 equals, when I cross multiply the other way, I'm going to get 28. So 7 times x is 7x. 7 times negative 2 is minus 14 equals 28. Now I can go ahead and solve for x. Add 14, add 14. You get 7x equals 42. And now when you divide by 7, you get x is equal to 6. Again, with the next example, when I cross multiply this way, 4 times x plus 4 equals 12 times 3, which is going to give you 36. Distribute this 4, and you get 4x plus 16 equals 36. Now I can go ahead and solve this equation for x. Constants to the right by subtracting 16. 4x equals 20. And when I divide by 4, you get x is equal to 5. Alright? So don't forget to distribute when you cross multiply for those. Now, the next couple. When I cross multiply, 4x times 48 is going to give you 192x equals 16 times 12 is 192. So when I divide by 192, I'm going to get x is equal to 1. Okay? Now, number 8. When I cross multiply here, again, I have to make sure I distribute. So, cross multiply here, you know you get 60. So now I can go ahead and distribute. 12 times 3x is 36x, plus 12 times 1 is 12, equals 60. Now, I can subtract 12. 36x is equal to 48. I divide by 36, and you get x equals, if I simplify this by dividing both 48 and 36 by 12, 48 divided by 12 is 4, 36 divided by 12 is 3. So in this proportion, x is equal to 4/3. Now, any word problem, anytime they give you, some ratio, you must keep the order the same. Doesn't matter which way you set up your ratio the first time, but you must keep each ratio in the same order. So it takes 5 tablespoons of sugar to make 8 cookies. So remember, I'm doing tablespoons to cookies. So 5 tablespoons to 8 dozen of cookies is equal to, here I do not know how many tablespoons. That's going to be my x to make 14 dozen of cookies. So right away to solve, cross multiply, 8x equals 14 times 5, so you get 8x equals 70. And when I divide by 8, I get x is equal to 35 over 4. And if you divide this, you would get 8.75. So you would need 8.75 cups of, teaspoons of sugar to make 14 dozens of cookies. Okay, number 10. If there is 12 inches in a foot, so we have 12 inches to 1 foot, then how many inches are there in 15 feet? So I'm looking for the number of inches, and I know the number of feet. So 1 foot, we'll just go 1 times x is 1x equals 12 times 15 is going to give you 180. So x equals 180 inches, alright, in 15 feet. If there is 3 feet in 1 yard and Jim hits a golf ball 270 yards, how many feet did the ball travel? So we know we have 3 feet to 1 yard equals how many feet in 270 yards. And when I cross multiply here, 1x equals 270 times 3 gives you 810 feet. So there are 810 feet in 270 yards. Okay, so now go ahead and try the next set of problems on your own. If you need additional assistance, make an appointment with your teacher or the tutoring center again. Thank you very much for your time.